Okay, so the purpose of this video is to describe the how to install a dash cam and the monitor for the dash cam into your car. I'm working with my 2014 Mustang Gt 5.0. Basically what I have here is I have a camera. I purchased a camera from one of the audio spots here in California, in Spring Valley, California. And it's pretty basic. On the bottom, it has a micro SD card slot. It also has a play, record, and mute on the bottom. It's a pretty small camera. It's a mini camera. It also has this 3M tape for what you use to attach it to whatever you're going to attach it, whatever surface you're going to attach it to. There's a couple different attachment options that I have in the car, but the one I chose is the one that's actually like the least visible for me when driving, because everybody knows you're not supposed to have stuff that obstructs your view when driving. I chose to put it right behind my rear view mirror. If you can see this, like right here. So if I attach it right here, you actually can't see it that well in the car. So, well, actually, it's not obstructing your view in the car. And basically, I'm going to just stick it right up under here. And then once I drop the mirror down to its normal position, then you can't really see it at all. Obstacles that I'm going to have to come across is, of course, I got to run this wire. And I'm just going to follow the wiring that they already have for the mirror. So I'll just run it up and probably just zip tie it up here neatly so that I can keep my the visibility of my wires at the lowest possible. Because I mean, that's what makes a horrible looking installation, is if after you install something, if you can see the wires and it look, messy, then I mean, if you're going to do work for other people, that's not a good way to, market your skills, is by having messy wiring. If I can, I'm going to try to stick it up inside this little plastic sleeving that's here for the existing mirror wires. But I haven't tried that yet. The second thing that I have is this mirror / monitor. And basically, it clips over your existing rear view mirror. I kind of don't like it because, like, it just seems like bulky, It seems really bulky, and I almost wish I had a replacement mirror that, but this is the only option they had when I went to go put it in. Both of these parts are like straight up made in China. Like, they are not American made parts. Nothing against China at all, but I mean, they weren't expensive. The camera itself was about 40 bucks, and the mirror was another like 50 bucks. I think after taxes and everything, I cleared like 110 bucks for everything altogether. The other thing, like I said, I have is I have a rat's nest of wires to try to hide and run. One set of wires on this side of the plug is for the mirror, and the other set is for the camera itself. I'm basically going to take those wires and I'll route them throughout the top here and bring them down and just attach them in my, where's this camera? Down there in the to the fuse box. I gotta find two sources of power. The two sources of power I gotta find is one that's 12 voltage, and the other one that this only gives me power once the vehicle is on, the ACC, accessory power. And I guess I'll try to keep you updated. I'll keep coming back and forth and keep you updated throughout each step. All right. Okay, so the first thing I did was I popped down this I guess, you know, it's your in-car lighting in the 2014 Mustangs. It's a pretty hard pull that you have to make, and when you're pulling it, you almost think that you're gonna break it, but you just gotta put that pressure on there to pull it down so you can pop it off. This is also how you go about changing the light bulbs out if your light bulbs within this housing go bad or go out or whatever. If I could, it'd be freaking awesome if I could find a 12-volt power supply here, but I'd still run into the problem of trying to find a 12-volt ACC. Well, then again, maybe not, because I think these lights only come on once the ACC is on. But I'll figure it out in a moment. If I figure out if I've run into any snags, I'll just let you know. But like I said, this is the first thing I'm doing, and then the next thing I'm going to do is attach the camera up here to the mount, or underneath of the mount for the mirror. Okay, so far I mounted the camera, which is this little thing right here behind the mirror, and this is what I mean. So normally if I'm just sitting here normally driving, that's not something that's going to obstruct my view. Like, I can't even really see it unless I like move around here. And it sticks up there, like I said, using 3M tape. You just go ahead and press it on front of you. Another thing, make sure there's no oils or greases on the window when you go to stick it on, or else it'll affect the ability of the tape to adhere to the surface. From there, I routed the wire for the camera, which was actually a pain in the butt. This was actually not easy at all, and I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was. But there's a sleeve that comes down that protects and covers the wire for the mirror. So I fished the wire through that. It was actually a pain in the freaking butt. It was actually kind of hard to do. I'm kind of mad that it was that hard, but it is what it is. And I fished it through to this point. I cut a little slit, and then I pulled the remainder of the plug out. From here, you can just take it and push it up in there where it normally would go. Let's see, I put the mirror back to its normal position. You push it up in there to where it normally would go. Oh yeah, the dome light, I took the dome light off. All you gotta do to take it off is just disconnect the plug right here, and then there's a white little push pin, and you just pull the push pin out, and then the mirror come off, and the dome light will come off, and then I just set it down on the seat over here. And this is the other end of the plug. Now there's also one more plug that I have to route up this way, and that is the one for the monitor. This monitor right here. Kind of sucks you can't see it. It's a touchscreen monitor, and the wire for that is somewhat similar to the wire for the camera, but for that one I'm just gonna run it alongside this the wires that I ran up here, and I'll just zip tie it. I think it'll look fine. I don't think it's gonna look like horrendous or anything like that. And because I refused to try to stick another wire through here. That was like a mini nightmare. But outside of that, I'll keep you updated. Be right back. Okay. So the next thing I did was I attached the mirror. And the mirror pretty much goes around your existing mirror. And it clips on this. Actually, I'm pulling it right now. It actually has a pretty good grip onto your mirror. Like, I don't think it's gonna come off. I have like 100% faith. Unless I get hit by like a Mack truck or something, this thing isn't coming off. Bumps, like road bumps or anything like that, it's not going to affect the mirror. I just don't like it because physically, it's just, I don't know, it's just not physically, appealing to me. But aside from that, I routed the wire for the mirror. This is the wire coming off the back of it, and I just took 2 zip ties. I gave it enough slack so that I can move around the mirror, at any position that I want, and it won't affect the wires. And I ran it from here, and I ran it on the inside of this existing wire cover that I have here. I probably will use another zip tie, but I don't know. I think this will work fine. And then ultimately I came up through this slit here that was pre-cut by the manufacturer to run the existing wires for the mirror through. And it comes up here. It fits like pretty flush. And it comes up here and comes out where the dome light is. I'm not going to keep them this way. I'm going to run them towards the passenger side of the vehicle, because that's where the fuse box is. As far as hardware, the hardware, as far as I'm concerned, is in the position that I wanted to be in. The next thing, like I said, is routing the wires from here down to the fuse panel. That's about it. I believe that at this point, the next thing I'm going to do is just take the wires for the mirror, and I'm going to, and the mirror and the camera, and I'm just going to route them along the top portion of this the headliner. Okay, yeah, I'll run it along the headliner, and then I'll probably run it down the pillar here. You can pull this pillar off, or if you're really good, you can just tuck it behind there. I think I'm gonna just try to tuck it behind there and bring it down the side of the dash here, behind all of this plastic molding, and route it right up under here to where the fuse box is. But I'll be back. Alright, so far I have the wires that I'm running for my camera and the monitor itself. I put the dome light back up there because it's not in the way of anything right now, and I could probably go ahead and clip it back together. It's just that that one clip, you clip it back together, and then I gotta start running my wires. Remember, being very neat with your wires is the key here. That's the whole key. You want to be neat, because if you ever got to market yourself and you got to show off what you've done, to your own vehicle, you want them to see that that you're neat and you have good wire management skills. One thing that I learned from my really cool friend Pete Tomaney is that if you're ever running multiple wires together and they're going to the same destination, then the best thing to do is to tape them together. And what I do, I also tape together the connections that I have for the camera also, and well, whatever connections I have that I have to plug into each other. But then I'll know that I didn't forget to plug them in, because I know I taped them. So this is the one, I don't know which one it is, either the camera or the monitor. And this is the second one for the camera and or the monitor. And like I said, once I plug them in together, I tape them. Then I know I won't get any like unnecessary vibrations that'll cause them to come apart. That's one thing that I can rule out if it ever comes to troubleshooting this system. And like I said, I tape the wires. You could tape them however you want to tape them. I tape them like, you know, every 6 inches or so apart from each other. And I just use 3M tape. Use good tape too, because that, if you use the crappy tape, it'll come apart. And if you're trying to wire it, like let's say you're wiring something that has exposed wires, but you use crappy tape, if it gets hot, sometimes that tape will slide down and it'll expose your wire and it'll short out. So like I'm running up in here. So if I was running wire that, you know, that was bare, and I used crappy tape and I ran it and the tape slid down and touched the ceiling, it'll short out. So that's definitely something you don't want to run into, excuse me. So use good tape. 3M tape is like, it gets my seal of approval. I love 3M tape. But other than that, I'm going to route my wires now. And like I said, I'm just going to route them down and run them up underneath of this headliner. This thing right here, let's see. You just got to put a little pressure on it, and it'll come down. There it is. And it's like that with virtually every car. You put a little pressure on it, and it'll come down. Once I get to this corner right here, that's when I'm going to start routing it down there. Let's see. Yeah, you pretty much can pull it all the way off. See? And it's just little push pins. And the push pin goes up into the little hole right there. Let's see. Right there. And there along this whole thing. But that's how you hide your wires, up in there. Let's see if you can see it from this side. Yeah. And I'll just route them down here. As you can see, there's other wires here too. And I'll route them down till they come down through here. You just take your finger and you move that over, and you can route the wire the rest of the way down here till it gets underneath of here. That's my ultimate destination. I'll be back. Okay, so far I got my dome light back up in there. Just press it up in, it'll go back into its position. This is the camera from this side. The camera and the monitor from this side. I routed my wires along here. I snapped this back up in place. This little plastic molding. And now I'm over here. And I'm just, like I said, the whole purpose of running your equipment is so that it looks like it came from the factory. All I have to do is just tuck the wires up into here, and that hides them. Tuck them up in there. If you have a hard time getting it up in there, just grab like a screwdriver. Just remember not to poke the wire. You don't want to cause a short or nothing. And that's pretty much how I hide the wire. You get it up in there good, you won't have to worry about it peeking out or nothing like that. The other thing you want to make sure is that any wires you run don't get pinched whenever the door shuts. So if you're running behind these moldings, more than likely you won't have a problem with them getting pinched by the door when the door shuts. The next thing I have to do, it's just run the wires down here, and my fuse box is right here. So I'll run the wires down here, hide them nice and good, and connect them to the appropriate power supply requirements. I definitely have to connect the two sources together, and of course I'm going to use tape to secure the connection. I mean, you don't have to, because I believe that this is a pretty, secure connection when I connect them like that, but I use tape just so I know that no road vibrations or anything like that is going to cause them to separate. When you're running the power for this, one thing that you can do is you can pretty much combine the two power requirements. This right here is my 12-volt power supply to both pieces of equipment, and that's the red wire. I also have two black wires that will be for the grounding of the two circuits. On the camera, it also has a if I ever decide to attach a backup camera to my vehicle, then this is the reverse sensing wire, and basically it's not that long. So what I'm probably gonna have to do is extend it and run it to even the reverse light for the vehicle, which will be the rear white lights that come on whenever you put your vehicle in reverse. Then that'll cause this wire to know that, hey, I'm backing up, let me turn on the backup camera. It'll switch on the monitor itself to the backup camera. So this wire is coming from the monitor. That's pretty much it. On the also it has a ACC wire. The ACC is your accessory wire. Your accessory wire is whenever you get in the vehicle and you turn the key to the on position before you start the vehicle, and then all of your accessories like your radio and your AC and your wipers and crap like that, all of that will come on. So that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to look for something to tap into that only gives it power whenever I'm in the ACC mode. That will tell that piece of equipment to turn on in that situation. I believe for the monitor, it doesn't have a ACC sensing portion. I'm not mad about that. It has an on and off. So if I don't want it to be on, I turn it off, But other than that, I'll be back. Okay, and I'm back. So what I'm showing you a picture of is it's called an adder circuit or a fuse tap, and it's one thing that I forgot to get prior to doing the installation, so I just went to the store real quick and grabbed one. And basically what the fuse tap is, it allows you to utilize a 12-volt source from your vehicle, and then once you utilize that 12-volt source, it still enables your regular circuit that you tapped off of to still function properly. And the fuse for that circuit will still be solely for the purpose of that circuit, rather than jumping off of the circuit to power up your piece of equipment. You can get this from AutoZone, and I got it from AutoZone, and it only cost me $6.99. This is it right here. Add a circuit, $6.99. The other thing that I purchased when I went there was, of course, some extra fuses. You never know. You never know when you might need a fuse, or a fuse might blow for some dumb reason. So I ended up getting the 5 amp, 10 amp, and 15 amp fuses. Or you never know if a friend might need one and you just got spare ones in your car. So, plus they're cheap. They only they were $3.99. And then I bought a quarter of full synthetic oil, because you know everyone knows Mustangs eat a quart of oil. I don't know how, but every Mustang I've ever owned will eat a quart of oil. Brand new, old, that's what they do. But I'm about to start back on the installation, or finishing the installation. Currently I'm down here and I'm going to use my multimeter to find a circuit that like I said before, to find a circuit that when it always has a 12-volt power supply, even with the vehicle off. One of the most common sources is a cigarette lighter. Everyone uses a cigarette lighter. I don't mind using a cigarette lighter. I mean, because if the cigarette lighter blows, that's not one of those circuits that are detrimental to your car. I mean, I just get another fuse and, you know, put it in there. And then the last thing I have to find is a circuit that is for the ACC. And the ACC is basically when you turn your key on right before you turn the vehicle all the way on. And I just need that circuit so that it can power the camera, so that once the vehicle turns on, the camera will automatically start recording. But other than that, everything's going fine. Okay, so this is the fuse box on the passenger side of a 2014 Mustang GT. Basically, what I'm looking for is a 12-volt power supply when the vehicle is off. If you look in the manual says that you have a 15 amp fuse right here that's in number 2, and it's not used, it's a spare. If at any time you run into a situation where you can use a spare, use it, because then that's not affecting any other circuit. It's just there just for you to tap into. Over there where you see that blue wire coming out, that's where I didn't use a fuse tap. And if you don't use a fuse tap, and you gotta find a way to wrap the wire around the fuse and then secure it in there properly so that it can still perform the functions that you need to operate, excuse me. If you look, damn, the light cut off. But I already checked the circuit, and that number 2, the 15 amp fuse right there, does have 12 volts. It has 12.8 volts, which is perfect. That's exactly what I need for this installation. And other than that, I'm going to connect the wires. Be back. Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I'll show you where I'm at so far. I'll talk kind of fast, that way the light don't turn off. But I got the fuse tap installed right here. And with the fuse tap, I have 2 fuses in there, so it can still run the regular function, but whatever. I did not buy a second fuse tap, which I will be doing, for the other wire for the ACC. I mentioned the ACC earlier. That's the will only work if you have your key in the on position, but your vehicle is not actually running. Okay. After hooking up these wires right here, I got the camera functionality to start working. Like I said, the camera is mounted right there. I got the lights to come on for that, and it's actually filming right now. It's filming the wall that's in front of my vehicle. I do not have a memory card inserted right now. It does record at 1080p. It has different like menus on here. Zoom, and you can change the position of the camera, or how you view the camera, English or reset. There's 2 modes that you can go through, AV1 or AV2. AV1 is if I had a backup camera installed, then I would have it enabled for AV1, but I don't have the backup camera installed. And basically that's it. From here, I'm going to tidy up my wires, that way it doesn't look like a rat's nest down here. And only thing I had to do was down here, I put a terminal in on it for the ground wire. That's the 2 black wires. I just twisted those 2 together. For my power for both the camera and the mirror, I combined those 2 and connected them to the fuse tap. And other than that, I'm done. Grand total time, if I wasn't trying to record crap, it'd probably take me about 20 minutes to finish this whole thing. But it's really easy. Don't forget, have your multimeter so you can find the proper voltage sources. Get you a drill so that you can drill in your ground wire. And that's it.